The thing that I did not anticipate, which has been perhaps the biggest piece of the disruption, was the willingness of the federal government to just shower money on people not to work.
Flood the system with money. That was what, Jerome Powell was asked about that by Scott Pelley on 60 Minutes earlier in the year. So basically you just flooded the system with money, and Jerome Powell was like, yeah, that's really what we did. And we're going to see that's not a solution. And we're seeing these inflation numbers. Brad Palumbo, my colleague, has written about that, written a lot about it. And it's interesting. It started first no, we're not going to see inflation. Well, we are, but it's transitory. And now the conversation switched to, well, okay, it might not be transitory, but some inflation's okay.
Yeah.
And then you see articles now no, inflation's good. Here's why. And so basically, I think they're admitting inflation's here. We can't control it. And now they're trying to, the political messaging with it in certain media outlets are trying that. But no matter what anybody tells you, inflation's not good.
Right.
And it's usually the poorest people that are harmed the most by it. And, if you own a home, that's an asset that'll appreciate. If you own stocks, there's some people that aren't going to be as harmed by inflation. It's the people on fixed incomes, on pensions. They're the ones that are, when their hamburger meat goes up, when the price of bread goes up, they're the ones that can least afford it. But to your point, I think what the solution is always more government. They're always looking, we just got to plan more. And it reminded me of an anecdote, something I read years ago. I'm pretty sure it was between Reagan and Gorbachev. And Gorbachev asked Reagan, it's how do you get food to people? How do you make sure that people are fed? And Reagan's I don't make sure that people are fed. And the lesson there is he's not trying to control the system. That's what a market economy does. If you get out of the way, it works.
Yeah.
And Gorbachev, who is a really smart man, could not understand that. He couldn't understand how they had all this food and how he wasn't directing it to people.
Yeah. So the one example of that, and I've been reading up on this because I've wanted to get into the economics of supply chain, and it is infinitely complex, and anyone that says they're an expert is probably telling you a story. But one small piece of that puzzle, so we forced people to stay home. They're non-essential workers. They had to stay home. And then we started paying them to stay home. So their consumption patterns changed, and they went from spending the money in the service economy. They couldn't go out to eat. They couldn't do all of those things that they used to do. So they started doing things like home improvements, and they started consuming lumber. And lumber got really expensive. And one of the consequences of that artificially inflated price of lumber, due to this excess demand created by government, was the inability to produce pallets, which are a key part of the entire shipping industrial complex. And it's all like this incredible science, but everyone's focused on containers, but no one's focused on pallets, which are built with lumber which they can't buy anymore.